Hi folks, Chef Mike here with From the Tide to Your Table. Today I'm going to do a whimsical little dish, shrimp and waffles Madagascar, using my favorite liqueur that pairs with all kinds of seafood. Stay tuned. So welcome back to the kitchen. This is Chef Mike with From the Tide to Your Table, and I have a great dish for you today that I think you're going to love. It's simple, it's quick, and it's delicious. Now obviously we just got over a blizzard here and we're not fishing, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to do a shrimp dish. We're never going to go shrimping, but I know everybody likes shrimp, or most people like shrimp, so we're going to do a very simple but elegant shrimp dish called Shrimp and Waffles Madagascar. Now, the reason we're calling it Madagascar is for two reasons. One is that we're going to use Madagascar green peppercorns. So the Madagascar green peppercorns you buy in the pickle aisle, right next to capers. They're very sharp, very pungent, but delicious. And gives much more of a mild type of a heat. Okay? The other reason is what we're using. We actually store-bought waffles, believe it or not. And we store-bought waffles, and these are made with Madagascar vanilla. So Madagascar is a little island off the east coast of Africa, and they have a lot of great unique ingredients and top shelf ingredients. So let's get started. So we're here at the shore house. We're going to turn this flame on high. Okay. Now the first thing I want to show you guys is peeling shrimp. Now I've already peeled the outer husk off, which most people know how to do, okay? But there's a little trick that you need to do to get this. This is a little chefy pet peeve thing, but this last piece, so many places at restaurants and things leave it on, and it's just not nice to eat. And there's a lot of meat in there, so you kind of break each side, you grab the little pinch inside, and you pull, and you pull, and you see all that little meat in there? Makes a difference, and it's delicious, okay? Another thing about shrimp is that you don't want to waste the shell. Now that's going to sound silly, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of flavor. We talked about it once before in the shell of a shrimp. And in another episode, I'm going to teach you how to make shrimp stock that you can use as a base for any number of sauces to elevate the flavor of your fish. So, first thing we're going to do now is pour just a little bit of vegetable oil in the pan. Okay? Let it get good and hot because we really want to sear this shrimp off so it just lightly begins to caramelize. Now I recommend 5 pieces of shrimp per portion, or 4. So Captain Dan and I are actually going to have this for lunch. So once that's good and hot, and you know it's good and hot when it sizzles when you put it in the pan, just going to lay this shrimp down. Here it's sizzling. We're just going to let that cook on one side. We're just going to let that cook, sear on one side till it's caramelized. Caramelized meaning lightly brown. We're going to flip them, and then add just a few more ingredients, and believe it or not, you're done. So now what I want to do, now that they're searing on one side, we're going to add a couple tablespoons of butter. Now the reason we're doing that is butter will help it to caramelize much, much better. Let's talk about butter for a minute, because not all butter is created equal. Normally what I would have used was clarified butter if I was in a restaurant, but I don't want to put you guys through that trouble. But when you melt butter completely, it separates into layers. Those layers are The butter fat rises to the top, and that's just fat. And the reason we do that in a restaurant is it elevates the smoking point of butter, okay? And it won't burn. The other part is milk solids and water go to the bottom, so I would just use the top. So the reason I'm doing this is this will help it caramelize using the whole butter with the milk solids in it. And then we'll just kind of flip this around. You see how it's just ever so slightly caramelized? See that? That's perfect. You get that on both sides, we're Hollywood, as they say. See, that's just that light caramelization, and we're going to flip it. And now we're going to add our green Madagascar peppercorns, probably a tablespoon. Now just be careful with this because it may pop a little bit, okay? Let that go a little bit longer. Now we're going to flambe it. So what I'm using to flambe it is a liqueur from France called Pernod. Pernod is just an amazing liqueur that pairs so very nicely with all types of seafood, mollusks, crab, you name it, fish. It has an anisey flavor, and again, just perfect with seafood. Now when you're going to flambe something, you need to be careful, and this is something you need to learn right off the bat. You need to pull your pan off the stove, off the heat. We're going to put just a splash of this in here. Okay? Let it go for a minute. Tilt the pan, and you have a perfect flambe. So you just want to cook all the alcohol out of that, and that will leave the flavor, the anisey flavor of the Pernod. But it won't have the straight alcohol in it. Then we're just going to take some heavy whipping cream. And we're going to put that right in. So you want to do it so you have about 3 ounces of sauce per person. This is 2 portions. Like I said, Captain Dan and I are going to enjoy this in just a little bit. Now in the meantime, I'm just going to pop a pre-made Belgian waffle into the toaster. You can make your own, or you can buy them, at the store. Again, I bought this at the store. It's made with Madagascar vanilla. They're Belgian-style waffles. I served this to Captain Dan the other day, and I actually made my own waffles using cauliflower. So it was cauliflower rice mixed into batter. And he made a great comment to me. He said, boy, that just a little bit of sweetness from the waffle really accents the shrimp Madagascar. So perfect combination. I always say that I like food with a little bit of whimsy, and this is my version of a little bit of whimsy. So shrimp and waffles. You could also buttermilk fry them, which we will do, I'm sure, at some point. So you see this is starting to boil, right? And at this point, we want to get the shrimp out of there, because if shrimp overcooks, it gets a little tough and rubbery. We don't want that. So we're going to pull those out of there. They're perfectly cooked now. We're just going to set them on the side, keep them warm, and we're going to finish the sauce. Again, you see that light caramelization there? Beautiful. And it's important, again, to splash the shrimp in there, because it's going to seep a little bit of that shrimp flavor in there and make it absolutely delicious. Now we're going to take a little bit, about a tablespoon of crab boil seasoning, and just kind of sprinkle that in. Whisk it in. And that turns that sauce just a little pink. And now we could reduce this sauce all the way down to the right viscosity, but I'm going to show you another trick that we use in the kitchens. And we're going to use an ingredient called beurre meunier. What beurre meunier is butter and flour mixed together in equal parts, so 50%, 50%. And it's a thickening agent that works perfectly for a la minute sauces just like this. Again, we talked about butter, all butter not being equal. Trust me when I tell you, you're better off buying a higher quality butter like Pelugra, Hotel Bar, even Kerrygold, rather than a standard butter, because the amount of fat in there, or oil, butter fat, is higher, and it's much better quality and well worth the money. So what we're going to do, now that this is all mixed in, we're literally going to take a little bit on my whisk, and we're just going to whisk this in, and it's going to thicken perfectly. Okay? See how nicely and quickly that thickened up to the perfect viscosity? Okay, that quick, we're done. And we're ready to plate. So, I forgot I was at the Shore House. And I forgot, at the Shore House, we don't have white plates. I always recommend food be served on white plates. It just makes the food pop better and look much, much nicer. I have these cobalt blue plates, which I hate, but my wife likes. So we're gonna plate it on just a smaller dish here, just to show you the difference in how that color pops versus the blue plate. Lesson learned, get some white plates at the Shore House. And I always like odd numbers of things, so we're gonna do 5 right on top. So before we plate, we went out a little bit of salt. We always got to check at the last minute, so I take a tasting spoon. It's almost there. We're just going to add a little bit of salt. Stir that in. And then just drizzle this gorgeous sauce over top of the waffle. Let some drip off the side. It's okay. I'm just going to finish it with a little bit of chive as a garnish. Last thing I want to do before we serve it is, you see I splattered some sauce. Just want to make sure we wipe that before we serve it to anybody. Okay? Now I'm going to plate it on a white plate, and you'll see the clear difference of why white plates are the only way to go. Now, unfortunately, like I said, I don't have dinner plates in white here at the shore. I will by the next time we film something. So again, an odd number, 5 shrimp per portion. It's always better with an odd number. See how nicely, just lightly caramelized they are? And we're going to drizzle some of this beautiful sauce on top. See what I'm talking about already, right? It just pops on a white plate. Then we're going to just garnish it again with a few little sprigs of chive. And there you have it. The very whimsical shrimp Madagascar, or shrimp and waffles Madagascar, using Madagascar peppercorns and Madagascar vanilla in the waffle. I know you guys are going to love this. This is a real hit for either an appetizer or an entree. You can serve it also over rice, over pasta, any number of ways, whatever suits you at your table. So this has been Chef Mike with another edition of From the Tide to Your Table. Be safe out there.